Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Northern Film Review. We've got a great film for you this week. We've got Princess Mononoke by Studio Ghibli. Absolutely amazing anime, released in Japan in 1997. And it is a fantastic film. Wonderful stuff to go through, wonderful stuff to talk about. And me and Luke will be going in depth into scoping. I don't know what interscoping means, but we're going to do it, and we've got that all packed for you today. Hope you enjoy.
The Northern Film Review, with your hosts, Oliver Ellis and Luke Simpson.
Yes, so that was a good intro. Intro. How are you, Luke?
I'm great. Thank you very much for asking. Half asleep still, but what can I say?
That's not good. I tried to do the guy from the IT crowd then. Intro. Yeah, you were going to pull an all-nighter last night editing our last podcast.
I was.
But
then my friend here talked sense into me, so I didn't.
I perhaps never think it's a good idea to pull an all-nighter, for various reasons. But but hopefully that episode of the podcast will be up sometime today, maybe tomorrow. I don't know.
Today or tomorrow, sir.
Today or tomorrow. That's not very helpful. But people don't know when we're recording this, so when this goes out, it will be the next week when we. So what we're talking about right now makes no sense. Anyway, so last week we did an interview with Dan and Marcel about their short film, which is very interesting. Love to go in depth with them. Great guys, and it's a very interesting podcast. That was our third podcast of the season, podcast or radio show, depends how you listen to us. And we think it went rather well, didn't we?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for our first interview type of podcast, it went surprisingly well, to be honest.
Yes, I think so.
Apart from some technical issues that you had, maybe.
Yes. So last week, it might be happening now. I'm not really sure how to check. So last week, I have this very expensive sort of microphone recording setup. I've got at least £400 worth of gear to record this podcast with. It's not just to record this podcast with. I'm not on that sort of. I do sort of music recording and like field recording and stuff like that. So it's useful for lots of other facilities. So I need sort of expensive gear. And last week we recorded the podcast, and I accidentally recorded the whole podcast through my webcam mic, which is thank you, which is beyond. It might be happening again, but I'm recording it on my laptop now, which does have a mic, but doesn't have a webcam mic. I don't really know what the difference would be there, but I'm sure there is one. So hopefully I sound right. Hopefully I sound crisp and wonderful. Because throughout the entire last season, I was like complaining to Luke, being like, Luke, your audio quality is terrible. And he went and brought a brand new sort of microphone to start the season with. And I just kind of like, yeah. Yeah. Got a bit of a cold there, Luke.
Yeah.
But yeah, we finished all our sort of hard modules for this year, I think. Maybe. Hopefully.
We've got filmmaking in March. Not March, in April. I think April time we start our actual filmmaking module. So that's going to be interesting.
I find it odd that we do a course called filmmaking, BA filmmaking, and we do a module every year called filmmaking. It's like doing an English degree. It's like doing an English degree, and every year you do a module called English. Like, that doesn't make any sense. Maybe people do. I don't know. I've never applied to do an English degree.
No.
So maybe that's what they do, and maybe I'm just sort of
rambling,
rambling or whatever. Anyway, so let's get back onto the main topic of this podcast, which is Princess Mononoke, which, like I said in the intro, is a film by Studio Ghibli, which, if you don't know, are a Japanese, Japanese animation company. And they make all sorts of fantastic films. So they've made Spirited Away, My Neighbor Totoro,
Howl's Moving Castle.
Howl's Moving Castle, yes, and lots of other stuff. And perhaps because we're a film, film review-ish podcast, you perhaps might think, oh, okay, they're going to be doing American Psycho, Train Spotting, which we might do eventually. But
yeah.
all
the stereotypical things that viewers would expect us to do.
Yes, I think we have done that, and we are going to continue doing that. But we like to sort of broaden out of those sort of dips as sort of the white film nerdy guy who just goes, Quentin Tarantino is a genius, actually. We're not sort of we're a little bit those people, but we don't like to think we're those people. So we did an anime. Well, I suggested it because I watched it. One night I watched it and I was like, wow, because I watched this like top 10 review of like best Studio Ghibli films, and Princess Mononoke was the top. I thought it'd be Spirited Away, because Spirited Away,
brilliant film, beautiful,
wonderful film. And I was like, Princess Mononoke, oh come on, it's just a bunch of like wolves walking around. And I watched it. I was like, wow, I gotta tell Luke about this. I gotta let the people know.
The peeps know.
So yeah, it's perhaps not the most interesting story in picking a film, but it is relatively interesting. And yeah, it is. It was released in October 2001 in the UK and 1997 in Japan. And Luke, do you want to tell the people? By the way, spoilers alert.
Yeah.
For this whole podcast, you want to tell the people like the general gist of the film?
Yeah, I can. So basically, it's about this man who basically fights off this demon ball-looking creature to save his village. But by doing so, he gets a curse from the demon ball. Basically, gets kicked out of his village because he's not pure.
Yes.
Then basically he's on a journey to find himself, becoming his own man, because he's never left that village before or that area before, and it's like him moving on from the past into the future. He meets he's in the middle of a war between the forest gods and a mining colony, and the quest is to meets Mononoke, which is the in translation, I think it's from Japanese to English. It's something like forest god or something like that.
That sounds right.
Yes, it's something like that. But yeah, it's a beautiful film. The war scene's amazing. The mining colony, especially. It makes you feel, especially when
it makes you feel
really a lot. It's quite a sad film if you delve deep into it, especially the death of the forest god, and just wow, just a brilliant film, brilliant film, and I'm happy that I got introduced to it, because I've seen some of Miyazaki's films, Spirited Away for one, and Howl's Moving Castle, but never. When I first heard it, Princess Mononoke, I thought, oh, this is going to be a bit of a soppy film. Princess Mononoke, didn't really read into it, and I was like, from the title, doesn't sound like my cup of tea. But then I think it was after the podcast. We had a little meeting after, and he was talking about it. I was like, I'll give it a wish. Listen, give it a watch, because it's on Netflix. So if you haven't seen it, go watch it. It's on Netflix.
Yeah, I mean, so we're going to talk about it a bit more, but it is on Netflix, and for the past couple of years, Netflix has been sort of pumping up their anime resume. I like saying that now, anime resume. That is a fantastic string of words. But they've got a bunch of sort of anime on there, and obviously Crunchyroll is the sort of the anime streaming service, and they wanted to sort of counter that. They've been putting a bunch of Studio Ghibli films on there. Lots of great stuff to watch on there. But in in terms of sort of what the critics say about this and what people think, because weirdly, I really like the film. When I watched it, I was like, wow, this is a great film. I'm really getting this film. There's dynamic characters and blah, blah, blah. More stuff we'll talk about later. And it was sort of a bit, it was a bit, I, I can't think of the word, partisan or bipartisan, whichever one's the bad one. And on Rotten Tomatoes, it was critic score of 93, which is really good. Audience score of 94. And the New Yorker said, this handsome, beautifully designed Japanese animated film has the size, though not the clarity, of a great Japanese film epic, which is quite nice. But on Metacritic, which is, I think I've said this, but the worst version, got a 76 through critic score and an 8.9 through audience score, which is out of 10. And I saw quite a few, and that's relatively sort of mediocre. And I saw like quite a lot of people hating on the animation style, quite a lot of people against it as a sort of, it's a bit sort of choppy in places. And there's some random dude said wacky, vividly conceived, but mundanely executed cartoon fantasy. Which I think because there's lots of interesting stuff about how this film was made. So it was released in 1997, like I said, and this was slightly before animation was being made on computers. So a lot of modern anime, I'd say the majority of animation is made on computers, and I think both me and Luke know this because we've animated before. And we've done it on the computers. And that's sort of, but with this film, I can't remember who made the film, but he said, I'm against sort of making it on computer because it is animation on computer is just like a different type of pen, but I like the pen that I'm using now. Which is quite interesting. And he went through the sort of the rings and the hoops of doing it all sort of, I think it was 90% sort of traditional animation and 10% computer animation, which is beyond me because if you've ever drawn anything, it's a difficult time. And I just, oh my god, it's amazing. And there's sort of these sort of critiques of the, the animation style is perhaps undeserved. I feel. What are your thoughts on it, Luke?
Very good, very, very, very good. Miyazaki is the director and the
Yes.
the creator of these majority of Studio Ghibli films. What I heard was that he started the whole project on his own without the help of Studio Ghibli before. So he wrote the story. He started doing sketches. I think the first sketch he ever made was in 1997. Not 1997, 1979. Sorry, I got them two mixed up. 1979. So back way before he made like My Neighbor Totoro and stuff like that. He always wanted to have this idea of this creature. And this film he had. So he's been working on it for ages and ages and ages. And from what I watched, I think it's way worth it. Really worth it. The scenery. I know it doesn't see much, but the forests and everything like that, the scenery use is beautiful. It's beautifully shot, and people don't realize that animations have cinematographers working with them because they can't say, oh, I'll just color this in and animate that, and but bing bang bosh, there you go. You need lighting in it, you need camera movements in it. You can't do the camera movements by animation, and the cinematographer was brilliant in it, and some of the scenes are just breathtaking, and I think it is going to go on top as one of my favorite animated films. I think because I've never been a fan of anime, but by watching this and what people assume that anime is, and if this is just what people our age would think is weebs and high pitched squeals and just weird TV shows, but that's not the
Yeah.
case. It's this anime is a style of animation. It's not a genre. Well, it is a genre kind of, but it's like Japanese people looking at SpongeBob SquarePants and thinking that's weird because it is weird. It really is weird. A talking sponge underwater. Yeah, it's weird. People in Japan would not understand that, and that's kind of the same. And it has a lot of references to the two American and English pop culture, and that's the same with anime, which I've just kind of just realised really. So yes, we may not understand some of it, but it's brilliant. And if you want to start getting into anime, watch Spirited Away or watch Princess Mononoke because they're very actiony and very visceral.
I would perhaps say, if you want to get into anime, I'm thinking about this conversation, a bit of an odd conversation in my head. But if you want to get into anime, I think Spirited Away is perhaps a better film to get into anime with, because I think it is a bit more westernized, whereas opposed to Princess Mononoke, which I think is a better film.
Yeah.
Isn't as westernized as Spirited Away, so it might be a bit harder on people's sort of, I don't know, eyes and ears and stuff like that. But going off your point of sort of what people's preconceptions of screaming anime people are is it's really sort of, it's an odd stereotype. I don't think it's untrue, because I have seen animes where it's just screaming people and there's some sort of weird stuff going on. Black Bible, and I think it's a weird stereotype. I think it is not sort of, you don't put yourself off anime because of that, because there is some really great stuff. And there's obviously great films that aren't by Studio Ghibli, like Wolf Children, but I wouldn't recommend watching that for your first go. That is a fantastic film, but it does have people turning into wolves and people having hanky panky with wolves. But I think
I mean, there's wolf creatures in Princess Mononoke, isn't it?
Yes.
There's a really weird scene that when I first watched it, I was like, the hell is happening here? And it's when I think the wolf got shot or something like that, and then she just starts sucking the blood up. I'm like, what the hell's happening here?
Yeah. I thought that was a bit weird. Because she's like sucking out the poison, which is fair. You see that in westerns and stuff.
Yeah.
And that's that. They'll see like they get bitten by a rattlesnake. But she was sucking out of a giant wolf god. So it is perhaps, I don't know. I'm perhaps leaning more to the stereotype here. But and some more interesting things about this film that I think make it really, really good is that because it is animated and it's put a sort of weird sort of storyline of a guy in ancient Japan shooting wars and going to like distant lands and monkey gods and forest gods and stuff
the
like that.
ape tribe. Oh my word.
Oh god, that was creepy.
Oh my word.
Let's sidetrack on that. Oh my god, the creepiest part of that film. Oh
god, I was like, hell no.
Why were they like all shadowy and sort of silhouette-y?
You didn't see their faces, and they were just hid behind it. They had this deep, raspy, demonic voice, and it was like,
oh,
let's just kill him. I was like, no.
Yeah, let's eat the human. I'm like, no, what are you doing?
Eat the human, and they'll leave our forest alone. I was like,
oh,
you'll just die. It'll kill you.
I don't know what went through their head. I mean, they're obviously like relatively intelligent animals because they can speak, but like they're just kind of like, let us eat this human. I'm like, what do you think is going to happen? Like, I'm pretty sure majority of monkeys are herbivores or whatever. And I like, what are you doing, mate? Calm down. Very odd.
Hell no to the demonic monkeys.
Yes. Hashtag no demonic monkeys in my anime. But yeah, it was just what my original point was before I started remembering this sort of the scarring effect of those monkeys. Is perhaps the characters are very dynamic, and because I'm studying screenwriting at the moment, and writing dynamic characters and sort of interesting characters that go against stereotypes but are built up more on archetypes is very, very difficult to do. It's very complicated. And I have watched some anime where it's like, it'll be characters that are built off mainly off just stereotypes of anime and stereotypes of Japanese people and sort of weird, I don't know, whatever. But these sort of characters are archetypically based in that sort of multifaceted, sort of deep characters that you can really sort of imagine and think of who they are, but not relate them to anyone else, but as their own thing. I think that's so great, and I think it's such a testament to their screenwriting of this film. And they're made in such a wonderful and sort of I keep saying dynamic, but it's such a great descriptive word for it. And it's just really sort of weaves the sort of the film in sort of way. I think perhaps comparatively to Spirited Away, which also had very dynamic characters. One thing that the perhaps Spirited Away's story doesn't have, and I think it's something you touched on earlier, Luke, is the sort of the theme of the story. And this
Yeah.
is also another thing that is weirdly pertinent in film school about trying to find a theme of your film.
Yeah, they always say, think of a theme before you make. Like you have to, like the film you make, you have to have a meaning behind it or a theme behind it. Otherwise,
Yeah,
there's no lesson learned or there's no point to the film. It's like
yeah.
you can still
Well,
make a good film without a theme, but I think a
yeah,
theme is important in a film to try and get people on board with the film.
yeah. I mean, I'm kind of against it as an idea, but it's okay. But A Spirited Away perhaps doesn't have a very strong theme. Um, it's still a fantastic movie, but it doesn't have a
Mm,
strongest theme as Princess Mononoke does.
mm,
So when I watched it, there's sort of a couple of main themes that you can write movies to. Sort of every film is about love, more or less.
yeah,
But you can write about sort of poverty. You can write about sort of man
man
versus
versus nature,
machine,
man
and
versus
yet,
nature.
yeah. So this film is man versus nature, and I instantly got that
Mm,
instantly, and I think it's something that projects into sort of modern culture as well. I think it ages well, you know.
yeah.
I
It was
think,
prevalent in 1997. The man versus nature. A lot of global warming started happening. Not a lot of it, but like global warming came into effect. Then people started becoming more aware of it, and then
mm,
it's even now really. Like nature ball is in. It can take us out. It's that simple, really.
mm.
So
Yeah, and it's just it's a very pertinent film, and it's very interesting to sort of watch, and the sort of the destruction of man, on sort of the forest and man's greed, for natural resources, and although it might be just destroying lives of um hundreds of thousands of animals in the forest, greedy people still want to do it.
mm,
Um, which is a great message, and it sort of adds to the dynamic characters of the story, and it really sort of adds to it all, and it's just, yeah, it's very, very interesting the way they do it, and I think the screenwriting is very strong within the film. Um, but yeah, it is very interesting. Um, and it was originally going to be adapted by, well, the studio wanted it to be adapted by Quentin Tarantino, which
really,
yeah, so a lot of Japanese films will be adapted into English, so it's more uh
westernized.
yeah, westernized and digestible by a Western audience. And I wanted Quentin Tarantino to do it, which I found interesting. I'm not sure who did it in the end, but obviously not that interesting to sort of
Yeah,
you know be of note. Um and it was the first animated movie to win Best Picture at the Japanese Oscars, which I've never seen, but I'm sure
nope.
are very interesting. Um, but yeah, I think it is a wonderful film. It's a very interesting film. And there's lots to say about it, really, and sort of
Mm,
the animation style, and stuff like that. But what's your sort of general opinion on anime, Luke? What's your sort of
Like I
larger
touched on
opinion?
before, I wasn't a massive fan of it before watching some of these more, how to say, more adult, more actiony, adult kind of variant of it. Because, like I said, like what I saw, what I used to see is like more child friendly or just more giddyish, happy, just like a bit OTT, if you know what I mean. And I've seen, I think, Demon Slayer and Spirited Away and Princess Mononoke, all these Studio Ghibli films and some other comedic kind of ones. Like One Punch Man, I really love. I can touch on One Punch, yeah, and Demon Slayer. They're very good. But I wouldn't. I think my genre of anime is more action than the other kind of giddyish, weeby looking type of stuff. You know what I mean? So
weeby.
yeah, that's new word I
That
have
is
coined.
our word.
That's our word.
But yeah, I think people get made fun of a lot for liking anime, though, don't they?
I think the people that get, no offense, but the people that get made fun of anime is when anime is all they talk about and they live, breathe it. Like, yes, you can like anime without being OTT about it.
Yes.
Yes, that's my point.
I thought you were gonna. It felt like you were gonna say more than that. I was like, if people like anime a bit OTT.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
that's my point.
Good point.
I'll leave the house.
Yeah. Good. That's fine. Your opinion is valid.
Listen to me.
Yeah. I agree. I think perhaps it's the same with any sort of hobby or media interest. If it consumes your life, it's a bit sort of odd, maybe. I don't know.
You can say the same because I'm a Marvel and DC fan.
Yeah, and those fans are the worst.
Yeah, they are the worst.
They
are the worst. I can tell you why. It's because when they have an idea of how they want a comic book to be adapted, and it's not for their liking, they're foul.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I don't know. I prefer anime to Avengers films because I quite hate Avengers films.
Yeah, no, don't blame you.
And I'm perhaps in the Martin Scorsese school of thought. But I think I'd wish more people. I don't know. I kind of, because there's a lot of bad anime out there.
Yes,
I
there are.
The very last season of Naruto Shippuden is awful. And I haven't seen Boruto, but I might do eventually, maybe one day. And there's lots of bad anime. But this is a good anime. And I tend to think that the anime films are better than the anime TV shows.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah,
exactly what I was thinking.
Because I think I've always had a lot more sort of emotional connection to Spirited Away, My Neighbor Totoro, Princess Mononoke, War Children. All these films I feel a lot stronger connection to than I do perhaps Bleach or Naruto or One Punch or Attack on Titan, and all sorts of stuff like that. And I think it perhaps is a format that works a lot better in a film form. I don't know why, but I think that's perhaps you can have bigger budgets on the animation. And you'd have longer time to sort of do the script writing. Because I think just general TV anime is used as sort of TV fodder for a lot of people. Like an EastEnders sort of thing for Japanese people.
There are some anime that was westernized and was very popular, like Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, mainly like the card games and the games that were really popular in England and America got adapted to dubs basically, and they were very popular on like CITV and stuff like that.
Yes, and I think perhaps that is an avenue in which a lot of people were introduced to anime, like myself.
Yeah.
And
Pokemon
I
was one of my favorite things of growing up.
Yeah, same. I used to love Pokemon. I perhaps at the time didn't understand that it was anime or that it
Yeah,
was
yeah,
Japanese.
me
Or
either. I just thought, oh, it's really good animation, but no, it is actually an anime, which people sometimes do get surprised on. Like, oh, well, I don't like anime.
yeah,
Did you like Pokemon growing up? Yeah, it's my favorite show. That's an anime.
and that's weird to think about. I think I mean, there's sort of Avatar: The Last Airbender, which looks
Yeah,
like an anime, but people would argue it's technically not an anime. Which I would also agree with. But I mean, interesting sort of definition that people put on anime is that it has to be made in Japan for it to be an anime. Do you agree with that school of thought, or can it just be a sort of a style?
I think it's a style. I mean, I think it's hard. Anime is a style of Japanese animation, so there's more Japanese animation out there. So I think if you can do a really good adaptation of an anime in America, I will still class that as an anime, really. So,
Mm,
it's just it's like if you go over to Japan and they make a Toy Story, like it looks like a Toy Story. That's not anime. That's anime. That's 3D animation. That you wouldn't call that
mm,
anime, would you? So
mm.
that's what I'm trying to get at, really.
Yeah.
It's like adapting a style. Like you could do the style of anime in your own home, really, couldn't you? I technically, if I was good enough, I could technically make an anime on my computer at home, but
You
I
should.
don't want to because I can't draw really. But yeah, I think it doesn't have to be made in Japan to be classed as an anime per se.
Mm. I kind of say it should be. I don't know why, but I feel like it should be. And I'm going to go with that. I
Yeah,
don't need to give any more explanation.
no,
Um,
no, like I
no,
didn't. I didn't. I was
yeah,
like, yep.
yep. That's it. I mean, real great sort of arguments for a podcast. But I can't really think of one. But I agree with myself, and I think that's what's important here.
I'm gonna debate with myself about it.
Yes, I give myself my own validation.
Well done, Luke. Well done, Owen, Oliver.
You call me Owen.
Nope.
Wow, I feel I feel offended.
I call my mate Oliver and my mate Owen. I got Owen and Oliver. It's like really confusing
Wow.
me.
Oh
No,
God, I feel
no.
so offended. Well, I think it's the end of the podcast now, Ali. You've truly offended me. I've never been called Owen before. Ollie, Ellis, not Owen.
Well,
Anyway,
I'm gonna call you Owen from now on. Now.
oh, great! This is fantastic. You know what's annoying? Because I have another friend called Luke, and you also have another friend called Luke.
Yeah.
And I there's no distinctions because like with you can't short. And again, a tangent
No,
from what we were talking
yeah.
about. But like, there's no just like how can like one of you called Luke and the other one's called Luke. You can't shorten Luke.
Well, in our filmmaking group, I mean, I'm with Luke in our filmmaking group, and our course leader for it calls me Simo and him Luke. It's like, oh, thanks, I'm Simo now.
Yeah.
Call
Maybe
me
I've stuck.
Simo if you want.
Yeah. I'll call you Simpson or Simp. Anyway,
Oh! End of podcast.
anyway, let's get back onto
Yeah.
onto track of what we're talking
Yeah.
about. So Princess Mononoke, great film. We really liked it. If you had to give it a score out of 10, 10 being the best,
Yeah.
0 being the worst. I don't know why I need to explain that to you.
Yeah. We've
because
done it all
we've done
last
this.
season.
We've done this before.
Yeah.
Go on, give it a go.
I'll go for it. A nice 8, I think.
8.
An 8.
Interesting. Why
7.58. Like I said, animation isn't my favorite. Anime and animation is my favorite genre, but it's a brilliant film, so I can't deny that. Beautifully shot and everything like that. But there's loads of other films that are above it, if you know what I mean. So yes, it's a brilliant film, brilliant film, but it's not gonna go top of any of my other films that I watch over and over again, if you know what I mean. So Brilliant film. That's why I'm giving it an A. It's still a brilliant score, but it's not the upper echelons.
Yeah. Interesting. I don't think you've ever given anything above an 8, have you?
No, I have. I think.
Have you?
Yeah.
I don't
Parasite
know.
gave like a 9. 9.5.
Did you? Oh, okay. Well, I suppose that
Yeah.
was our first show, so weren't really sort of. Anyway, so
Was it
I would give it an 8.5.
Ooh.
Just to outdo you a bit.
Fine, 8.6. I'm checking.
Because I think I don't know. I don't think I'd ever give a film a 10. And I think about this a lot. I don't know why I think about it a lot. I'm like, is a film perfect? And I think
No,
a perfect film to me would be a film I would make, but because
No.
I am perfect.
Sorry, the cough's coming back again.
Yeah. What were you gonna say then?
Yeah, I was going to agree with you. You can't get a perfect film. Even directors say they can always chop and change the film that they've already made. So you can never get a perfect film. You can always change something in it. Even if it's the smallest thing, you can still change something.
Yeah, and that's quite annoying, isn't it? Really. I don't know. It's quite a frustrating thing about filmmaking and about life.
Yeah.
One of life's many lessons. But yeah, I think an 8.5 is good. I think perhaps why. I don't know. I have quite controversial opinions about older films, and I think it perhaps would have been a 9 if it was made from 2010 onwards.
Yeah, I was going to say, would you say if Citizen Kane was made, let's say 2005, would it be as popular as it would be?
No, because it was of its time, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think I don't know. I have very strong controversial. I think animes don't date as much as other films. I think.
No, because they stick with this kind of same like animation style, don't they?
Yeah, and
like
I think
they kind of look quite a lot alike. So if you ever watch Spirited Away, it kind of like some of the styles kind of same with my neighbor Totoro and Princess Mononoke. Like he has a style that he goes for, doesn't he? Miyazaki.
Yeah, and it's consistent, and I think perhaps the same with all animation styles. Although perhaps I think I could tell the difference between Toy Story 1 and Toy Story 4 or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, a better one to say is you can see the evolution through The Simpsons, really, can't you? But like from season 8, season 3 to like season 12, you couldn't really see much change in it, really, could you? And that was like I think a 5 to 6 year gap, really, isn't it? And from that time, they upgrade and bring out new software and more styles and stuff like that. And that's why you can really never get a perfect film, because throughout the years you can say, oh, you could add this, but this was not invented then. But yeah, so it's not as good as it could be now, is it? So
yeah, it's a good film. I like this film. And again, like we said, perhaps not worth more than, I don't know. I think Parasite definitely deserved the 9, but I don't think Princess. It's a good film, and I enjoyed watching it.
Yeah,
but I think it does date a bit, and I think I like my films fresh.
Yeah, fresh off the chopping board.
Yeah, I know it's not to say that I hate old films. I mean, I mostly do, but
I love. I gotta look. I said I love Die Hard. It's a Christmas tradition. I watch it because I think it's a Christmas film, but that's a debate to behold. But yeah, that's 1980 something, really, isn't it? And there's
I've never seen Die Hard.
No, Die Hard's brilliant. It's one of them 80s cheese films, if you know what I mean. Cheesy action films, like a Arnold Schwarzenegger film or a Sylvester Stallone film. It's one of them. Like I got Commando as well as one of my guilty pleasures as well. That's just so cheesy, it's unbelievable. But
bit of cheese,
bit of cheese from it.
Bit of cheese. So yeah. Anyway, I think that's about our final thoughts. Although it wasn't really a final thought, it was more about Die Hard.
No,
but it was
final
good.
thoughts. It's a great film. It's
Mm,
beautifully animated. The style is
mm,
brilliant. Voice acting is brilliant. Action scenes are
mm,
brilliant,
mm.
and it's something that any animation lover should watch. Not just anime lover, animation lover should watch.
Yeah. Mm. I think that's definitely true, and I think you should just watch it. I don't know. I wouldn't recommend this to people as a first anime film, like I said earlier.
No,
But I would recommend it to sort of people who are getting into it and they're
yeah.
enjoying
So,
Spirited Away, My Neighbor Totoro.
say they've watched series Spirited Away or something like that, then
Or-
move on to the step above.
Yeah, or they've
Baby
watched
steps.
Attack on Titan. This is a
Yeah,
great film to recommend to people who are within that vein.
yeah,
And obviously, people who watch a lot of anime, I'd recommend Wolf Children,
yeah.
something like that. But yeah, it is a good film, very interesting film. So hopefully you've enjoyed the podcast. Hopefully you've enjoyed all that we've done today.
Mhm.
So please
Hopefully,
make sure.
say
Hopefully,
hopefully next week we might have another guest on. Hopefully, that's
yes,
what we're
yes,
hoping for. Fingers
hoping.
crossed.
A guest, whomever they may be. I'm
Mhm.
sure it'll be a very interesting film. Don't want to spoil it for you because obviously last week we had a great time with Dan and Marcel, and I'm sure we'll have a great time with whoever we get next week.
Mhm.
So yeah, make sure to check us out on our Instagram, the Northern Film Review,
Mhm.
which is a great Instagram. We post lots of stuff on there.
We do polls sometimes, and
Polls, film recommendations.
we like to see what your favorite films is and films are and stuff like that, and just try to
Yeah.
interact with everyone a bit more.
Yeah, and you can suggest films that you want to watch or want us to review, and stuff like that. And we're very sort of adamant about sharing those ideas and stuff. And make sure to check out our YouTube channel, the Northern Film Review. Is it the Northern Film Review podcast or is it the
I
Northern
think it's
Film
not on the
Review?
film review podcast. Yeah,
Well, there we go. Where we
I'm
upload.
gonna try and change this, the name of the
Yeah,
channel because it's a
eventually.
bit too long. Yeah.
Yeah. So hopefully you check us out there, which is the same format we do on the radio shows and stuff like that. Perhaps you're listening to us now on that.
Yeah. Hello.
And if you're watching us on YouTube, check out our radio show, which has an inclusion of film songs and songs from the film that we're currently reviewing. And I take great pride in choosing those songs, which is a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
Yeah.
So we're going to listen to some of those songs. So hopefully you've enjoyed the show. I've been Oliver.
I've been Luke.
And we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye.